Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we're going to cover a little tip and trick. This is in essence somewhat of a camp hack. Now I did not invent this, I got this idea from another YouTube video, but I figured it was something that was worth sharing with you today. Now, are you familiar with a snakeskin? If you're not, in essence, this is pretty much just a piece of fabric that you could use to keep a tarp or a hammock somewhat at bay. Really, it's a sleeve of material that you pull over the tarp or you pull over the hammock to keep it sort of in line while you're either setting it up and breaking it down and packing it away. Now, it's not that this is all that bulky. There's really not too much to it. So it really doesn't add too much in the way of volume. It even doesn't add too much in the way of weight. And even at that, it doesn't add too much in the way of cost. These are not incredibly expensive. However, there is something that you can do if you're looking to kind of lose some ounces. And ultimately, maybe this is something you could do for free. Now, before we completely get into it, this particular product is a snakeskin from the company Hennessy. It's really a two-piece system where you have one sleeve that goes over one side of your tarp or hammock and another sleeve that goes over the other side. So pretty much a two-piece product here. And there are different types. So granted, this one is by Hennessy, but many companies make these. This other one here is a single sleeve by the company DD Hammock. A little bit different, slightly different material, and overall a little bit different the way that you use it. However, pretty much the same idea where you're essentially creating a sleeve that keeps either your hammock or your tarp nice and tidy. Now, when I'm talking about a little bit of a camp hack and maybe something you could either do very easy, very cheap, or even free, what exactly am I talking about? Well, if you either live with a woman or you just like to scrub yourself up, you may have seen one of these before. This is a loofah. What the hell is a loofah? It's basically a bathroom sponge, something that you use to scrub your body, but in this case, we're actually going to use it as a makeshift snakeskin. So how do we go about it? Well, first things first, and this is the way that I approached it. I don't want something that's a crazy color. I don't want something that's purple or pink or not really loud. I want something that's a little bit subdued. So the first thing is when I went to buy these, I looked for the pack of what most women would probably be considering the ugliest colors available. So here I got this kind of dingy sort of gray color, and here I got one that's pretty much like a mildew taupe color, and that to me was exactly what I wanted to make my snakeskins out of. So how do I go about doing this anyway? Well, it is actually extremely easy. This entire thing is pretty much just one big long sort of mesh sleeve compressed into this one ball. So if you look on the inside here, there is just a little tiny string on the inside. So the first thing you're going to do is snip that. And you need to be a little bit careful not to ruin your mesh. So I'm just going to get right on that on its own and cut it. And that starts the entire process. So basically at that point, you kind of find which direction this goes and simply unwind it, and you'll see the entire thing just comes right apart. So it takes about like 5 seconds and you have yourself a big long mesh sleeve. Now, real brief here, you'll see a couple of examples that I have already gone through. This, to me, is an excellent way to store your down equipment. I do have a number of nice down items, and the reality is you don't really want to store these compressed. However, I found that where I hang my down on hangers, sometimes it's kind of flapping in the breeze, it's really sticking out, it leaves it susceptible to damage, and so for me, this, as much as anything else, was a great storage method. So you'll see this is actually a light sort of gray color that I've used to cover these down comforters. Now it works very well not only for the storage but also packing these in your backpack. So you'll see that I have these pretty much cut to the perfect length, and it keeps this nice and tidy while I'm keeping this on the hanger, and really doesn't compress this at all. So you can use this idea for not only just a tarp or a hammock, but in this case I've used it for not only my down comforters but also my sleeping bag. So it has really worked out quite well for me, and it is very easy to do. So at this point, let's go through the details. Now, one of the things I'd like to point out as we get started is this is not an extremely durable solution. If you are not careful, you will easily tear this. So it's one of those things that's kind of like, you know, you either do it and accept the fact that you may have some rips and tears and it's not a big deal, and then someday this is going to go beyond its effective life and you just change it out, or maybe it's not for you altogether. However, for me, I do find that overall I like the idea that this is a nice overall protection and keeps everything at bay, yet it's not squashing it super tight and completely compressing it down. So even though for me, I don't think this would be an overall great solution for a hammock or for a tarp, I do see it being a very viable option for something like a sleeping bag or down where you really don't want to compress it. And as I mentioned, I do have a lot of little tears in different places, and I have a really big tear here. So what we're going to do is basically completely remove this. So I'll get rid of this existing one, and we're going to make a brand new solution for the Sea to Summit Micro 3. So now at this point, pretty much completely removing this. I also want to point out the fact that just because there are rips in this, it doesn't mean that it's no good anymore. You're going to have different things of different lengths. So if you're careful, my major tear ends right here. So pretty much what I'll do is just grab a pair of scissors, find that spot where it's torn, and just cut it right there. And the reality is the rest of this is still plenty good. So I'm not going to get rid of this even though there's a tear. I'm pretty much just going to take this and put it aside and potentially use it as a future protection for one of my other pieces of gear. And now at this point, it's all I do is I pretty much pull it nice and straight and down my arm. And you'll notice there is a ton of material here. So this can do multiple things. You will have more than enough material to cover more than one piece of equipment. So again, in this particular case, I am using it to cover my Sea to Summit Micro 3. I'll just get the bottom end of it and start pulling over the top. Now this Sea to Summit is just a touch bulky, so I need to be very careful as I pull this over not to damage the mesh. So what I'm going to do is just simply get it established and started part way down, and then get the entire mesh onto this sleeping bag and pull it off of my arm, and then I'll continue to work this down the rest of the way. So just a little bit of a process here, nothing terribly difficult. And again, this might be a better method for you if you're using it as a storage method than maybe out in the field. However, I think if you're careful, it would work for you both ways. And it's going to be a little faster once you kind of get into it and get rid of a lot of this excess material. Right now, it's just going to take me a couple of extra minutes because I do need to manage all the extra mesh. And then you'll see the next step for me is really just to cut it to an efficient size. Okay, so now basically I have this all the way through, and I can take the mesh and just kind of even it out from the top to the bottom. And now at that point, I know that this is pretty much how much I need. So going back to my scissors, quick little snip. This is all extra. So at this point, it would cover another sleeping bag or potentially tarp or hammock. So this is worth keeping. But for me, what I really like is the fact that, say for example, this is actually my winter sleeping bag. It's summer now. I am not going to need this for a while. But at this point, I have it nice and managed. It's really not flopping all over the place. It can go on a hanger. It's not compressed. It really has air to breathe, and the mesh will move with it and expand to the furthest extent that it needs to. So overall, it gives me an excellent storage capability without causing any damage or de-lofting of the down. And then just to finish the storage of this, pretty much I will just simply slide it on a hanger. Nice and easy. And for me, voila, that's just about perfect. And now that I have it in my storage rack, you'll see it is, again, nice and compact, well managed. And what I also like is, now that the material is nice and managed, there's less chance of things poking at it, less chance of it getting snagged or caught on different things. So where it is a little bit sensitive and it's a down material, this worked out very well for me to manage my gear. So alright guys, there you have it. A real quick look at an easy and affordable camp hack. Something you can do if you're looking to either get yourself started, you don't have a lot of money to spend, and you want to be really efficient and keep your overall costs down. If you're looking for something that's a really lightweight option, or if you're looking for something to really help you just kind of tidy up your gear and keep it nice and organized while you store it. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.